This is the Lockpicking Lawyer, and today I have a remarkable lock impressioning product that you've probably never heard of before. This is the TAG5 Industries 5th generation lock impressioning light box. To understand this product, I think you need to understand its creator and the owner of TAG5 Industries, Russell. He's an Australian who comes from a multi-generational family of locksmiths and was trained in the craft starting from when he was a child. Rather than using his talents in civilian life helping with lockouts and rekeying, he found his way into government service, where he spent his life traveling all over the world and practicing his craft as a covert entry specialist. Now, one of the mainstays of covert entry is key impressioning, which makes some sense if you think about it. It can either be done all at once or incrementally over time without ever spending more than a few moments in front of the door. In either case, you end up with a working key afterwards, so you own the lock. This light box was conceived and constructed to allow covert impressioning, though it also has a lot of uses for normal civilian locksmiths who impression in the field. Most often when you see lock impressioning in lock sport, it's done on a bench with very bright lights and a large magnifying lens or jeweler's loupe to allow the impressioner to see the tiny and often subtle marks that are left on a key blank. Obviously, that's not an option in the field while you're trying to be covert. So with that in mind, let's take a closer look at this product. The light box is actually designed to be worn by the user by placing a lanyard through this hole on the back and around the user's neck. Then, while impressioning, you can place a key through these plastic flaps on the side and look through the magnifying lens at the marks on the key. The light box has two different color LEDs inside that were selected especially to highlight impressioning marks. The orange LEDs work best for brass keys like this one, and it also has blue LEDs that are a little better for nickel silver. By using these two buttons, the LED colors can be used separately or in combination with each other in varying degrees of brightness. And as a personal note here, I am not very good at impressioning, but these colored lights really do make it easier to see the marks. Now, the light box was also made with light discipline in mind, a concern undoubtedly born from Russell's years in the field. The plastic flaps that you can see on either side of the light box are pretty good at keeping the light in. Right now, I have both sets of LED lights on, and they are blazing at their full brightness, and you can see very little light coming out of the front here or from the sides, just a tiny bit in the cracks. Now, I want to give you a demo of this, but I am a pretty mediocre lock impressioner. So tomorrow for me, 30 seconds from now for you, I'm having a surprise guest show you how this works, someone with many years of lock impressioning experience. And I want this to be a real test, so we're not going to be using a master lock or a quick set. I'm going to give him this Kryptonite KS82 padlock, a lock with remarkable tolerances, and not coincidentally, a lock that I failed 4 times in a row to impression. So I'm going to cut the video and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay folks, I'm back, and with me now I have Russell, who is the owner of TAG5 Industries. And because I am an absolutely abysmal lock impressioner, he's going to give us a little demonstration on how we use this tool to impression a lock. So the first thing, Russell's already done a little bit of prep work on the key. So if you can take us through what you did, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. So you have a key blank. The most important thing about doing your impressioning is setting up your spacings and not to go too deep for your first cuts. Zeros are typically the height of a key blank. In some keys and some manufacturers, it may even be number 1 step. The biggest thing with impressioning is your spacings. Filing straight and correct all the time, making sure you don't diverse off and move into any other real estate of each other cuts. So you can see here I've done some small cuts with the file. Now with the filing, the file only cuts in one direction, and that is the forward stroke. And what you should do is, while you're filing forward, is use the full length of the file and lift off. Don't stop on the key, because the key is then going to get messed up by the file and it'd be difficult to see the marks.
If we go any further, can you tell me what the tool that's holding that key is?
This is a pin vise that's typically used by jewelers. It's a quick release type of situation. It has a screw head that clamps on both sides of the key, and it's a flat surface. I find this to be one of the best handles ever. I've tried many handles, vice grips, precision made handles for impressioning, but this is the best unit that you could use for impressioning. Small, very discreet to use, and nice and easy in the hand.
Okay, well, let's get to impressioning. Show us how it's done.
Right. So what you do is I always call this 12 o'clock, meaning that the cylinder is up and down, the pins are in, the key can move in and out. What you need to do is put a bit of twisting pressure on the key, not enough to rake the head off, but just to bind the pins as if you're picking the lock, and then you just do a small bump. I typically do 2 bumps. Then I bring it and turn it back to what I call 11 o'clock, which is back the opposite direction, as far as it can go, and bind and do 2 bumps in there. And now we will check for the cuts on the key, or the marks on the key. Okay, upon testing or inspecting the key blank, I've got a mark on number 4. So the rule of impressioning is you only file where you see the mark. Do not file where there are no marks. Do not guess. So I take a stroke on number 4 and repeat the process. Turn and bump, turn and bump. And just do it 2 times each side. Now we test again. So on this check, I saw a mark on position 1, position 2, and position 4. So I'm going to take the file and stroke through on those and retest the key again. In and bump, and bump, and bump. And okay, I'm testing this inspection. I've found a mark on 1, 2 and 4. I'm seeing a mark come on 3, but it doesn't look like a proper mark as yet, so I'm going to draw the file on that. And 4. Now we go insert the key again to bump. And now we'll inspect the key again. Okay, inspecting the key, we have a mark on 2, 4 and 5. So we're going to go through on filing those. Five is in an awkward spot being on the tip of the key, but I use my finger as a guide to keep the file straight. If you want to, you can scribe lines down the side of the key blank to give you as a guide. Put the key back in for a bump. Now inspect the key. Okay, inspecting the key, we had a fabulous mark on number 1 and there was one on number 3, but it was a bit iffy. I'm not going to guess that. I'm definitely going to take out number 1 and then we'll check. So now we'll put the key back into the padlock and bump. and inspect the key again. Right, on inspection, we had 1, 3 and 5. So again, single stroke on the file. And 5. And put it back into the cylinder. Bump. And inspect. Okay, on inspecting that one, we have a mark on 3 and a mark on 5. So I will push through on 3 and 5. Okay, and we'll test again. Bump and bump and bump. Now inspect. All right, on inspection, I noticed on spacing 1 and 2, the pins are not marking, but they're polishing the top of the cuts. That's indicating to me that they're at the correct height and not to touch them. As I said before, if there's no marks, don't file. If you file these marks thinking that they are indicators, you will then start impressioning the top pin, because there is a spring, top pin and bottom pin. The bottom pin is the one that we're impressioning or getting to height. The top pin will then also start to bind and will cause marks to be on the key. So be conscious of what you're looking at. Marks are typically in the center, and you'll see the differentials between them as you go along. So I'm going to hit number 3, which was an indicator, and number 4. And we'll put back in and bump. And test. 1 o'clock, bump. 11 o'clock, bump. And now we'll inspect. Okay, on inspection, notice a mark on number 3 and number 4. Kind of messed that file up, but I'll just do that one. Now we'll put it back in the cylinder and test. Each side, and now we inspect. Okay, on inspection, we had a mark on number 3 and a mark on number 4 again. All right, we'll put it back into the cylinder to test. And now inspect. Okay, on inspection, I made comment before about number 1 and 2 were doing a polish. Now they actually have marked again, and we have a mark on 1, 2, 3 and 4. So I will file all those. And now we'll test. And inspect. All right, on inspection, the number 4 pin was marking. Put this one through. And test. Okay, now we inspect. Okay, Okay, on inspection, we're actually getting polish marks on all of them, but number 3 is the prevalent unit. Number 5 is also putting a little bit of a spot in there, but I'm not going to file that one because I don't want to be tricked. Okay, in and test. And inspect. Okay, on inspection we have a mark on number 4 and number 5. So I'm going to take out number 4 and do another one on 5 and test. Okay, bump. And now inspect. Okay, on inspection, we had a mark on 1 and a mark on 4. The mark has changed, so it's getting close to almost being open. So we'll hit the file again and test. And inspect. Okay, on inspection, this one was indicating at number 3. So we'll file back at number 3 and test. And inspect. All right, inspection was indicating at number 1 and number 4. Put it in test. Bump. There we go.
Okay, Russell is gone, and I hope his demo was helpful. I spliced some pictures into this video that I took during the demo through the lens of the lightbox, but to be honest, they really don't do the tool justice. I should also note that I neglected earlier to mention that this tool does come with a very nice case that I do not have to show you, but you can see it on the TAG5 website, and I will leave a link in the description below. Now for the bad news. This is not an inexpensive product. It lists for $480. So while this is probably the best new impressioning product that I have ever used with excellent build quality, that innovation and quality does come at a price. So is it worth it? Well, I think it depends on how much impressioning you do. I can say from personal experience that this did make impressioning easier for me, and it also transforms impressioning into something that can be done anywhere at any time. So that's all I have for you today. If you do have any questions or comments about this, please put them below. If you like this video and would like to see more like it, please subscribe. And as always, have a nice day. Thank you.